Welcome. I'm so glad that you can join me here today. Point number 10 on what is resistance. Excerpts from pages 753 and 54 out of 850. And this is day 315, lesson 275. On what is resistance. And this book is an audiovisual version of TheSovereignLight, named after my ministry. And this is a course in metaphysical spirituality. How do you do? My name is Reverend Maria Arvanitidis. I'm so honored and blessed to have you here with me today. Shall we begin? Take a few deep breaths in. And out. And in. And out. And just kind of center yourself, breathing from the heart space center. Find yourself a comfortable position, standing, sitting, lotus, even lying down. As long as you find your comfortable space that you can surrender in this moment, here and now, the most powerful moment that we have in our life to connect to in the here and now, as Ram Dass would say, here and now. And so, what is resistance? Page 753. Resistance. It can be seen as useless, and yet without its friction to create a spark with the heat, it can melt objects or break them, such as in the case of ice. And all this alchemical things that happen during resistance. And this can help create transformation, to take the self into a newer world, even a newer perspective that we can perceive through perhaps a different dimension, angle, more than one dimension, expanded consciousness, leaving it empowered while it disappears, even alchemically reacting. And so let's begin with today's affirmation, shall we? Take a nice deep breath in. And whenever you're ready, I would like for you to join me in saying these words out loud. With awareness, I can find my pocket of resistors. With awareness, I can find my pocket of resistors. With awareness, I can find my pocket of resistors. And you can opt to have your eyes closed or open when saying these words. Just let them sink in. Soak them in throughout the day, and see where your beliefs that might bring along the bumps on the road throughout your journey and create this kind of resistance, this kind of rebellious questioning of everything that is around you, which is good to have a curious mind, but the beliefs to compare and find meaning is what creates this having to resist things, the mistrust in things, the insecurities, the doubts. Throughout the day, find within your pockets of space that might open up in your morphogenic field, if you will, your holographic reflection throughout the day on what challenges you into, from these beliefs, to become aware. And with this awareness, where can you find your pockets of resistors? And I'll continue reading. Take a nice deep breath in and just release it out into your holographic field. Become the receiver. And with that, let's radiate out, transmit whatever it is that we are soaking in from these words. Perhaps they might challenge us in the way that we might feel resistance. So, a resistor is a little package of resistance, and many can be found almost everywhere and on every level within, and also on the outside from the self reflecting back to it. It might be seen as unproductive. Oh, perhaps the doubts of self-consciousness that's been imprinted from comparison of others in what's in or out. We might find ourselves as being fat, lazy too. And in fact, the energy is never wasted, only it might appear this way. And all those toxins that the adipose tissue takes in for us, and all the goodness that it does. So there's always a good side to everything that we must look at, so it can bring our vibration up from that depressive mode of feeling that we're fat. As long as we're healthy and happy and feeling that abundance that God offers to us when we awaken to see the wealth all around us, this richness of everything that we can relate to and feel better, and perhaps make others feel this way too. So when lost or compartmentalized somewhere and stored for safekeeping, this fat, this adipose, scientifically opinions into fact and turn it into waste perception as toxic in our auric field, and then we take it in through what we eat, even perhaps like in the case of obesity. Resistance creates currents, and depending on their force of voltage, similar to lightning, where the buildup was created from the clouds. Eventually the air gives in, becoming a conductor, and sends off currents through. On the karmic scales of duality and polarity, as well as good and evil, as in the many various laws, including compensation and perhaps meaning, not always so, yet again be reinterpreted as trapped energy and blockages. These thoughts, these imprints that become beliefs, and how we react and act with everything around us, and how we respond, perhaps. Sometimes with physical pain, the trapped energy, it goes into our physical body and can be felt in areas of the body where it feels cold to the touch. That's trapped energy. It can't get through the circulation. So the thoughts and the formation of these thoughts that become beliefs, and from these opinions turn into facts proven scientifically, as well as the truth, reality framework that the self could abide by if it so wishes to contribute in this way of support and promotion. What is it that we're supporting? What is it that we're promoting in our reality with others even? So, page 754. You can opt to have your eyes closed or open, and find the sample too somewhere on TikTok, or I will have it just this exclusively. Ready? Let's begin. I want to hear you. Close your eyes. With awareness, I can find the pockets of resistors. So when the self cannot see the value in these truths, how can the self become supported to exist by any other way? And this too you'll find in Matthew, in the book, in the Bible, on the kingdom of God, and what we can see and hear. And some of us, when we spread the seeds out, will they fall in the thorn bush? Will they fall on the ground by the wayside? Will they fall on fertile soil? Will they fall on stone? Maybe some of you have picked up the Bible and know what I'm talking about. Okay, so I don't want to plagiarize. I can go and, speak about it, but in any way, we're talking about the deception is this thing that we find when the self cannot see the value in these truths. So how can the self become supported to exist by any other way? Well, we can always pick up the Bible and refer to it, but then not all of us can understand it. And this is why Christ spoke in parables. So again, I don't want to bring another book into this and plagiarize, but I am making reference to the Bible. You might want to pick it up. So when the self, and with no conflicting beliefs, how could successful collisions morph into other perspectives that are required within the alchemical composition by its practice to formulate into something better for its model? So how can we become better model citizens even to others? So the deception of this awareness, sometimes it's there to punish or be held liable as subject to punishment, and it does not differ all that much from suffering. And this is where the ego is creating all of these things to victimize us with. Well, if we aren't awakened and our eyes aren't open to see and our ears cannot hear and we cannot see the subtleness of these miracles, then we will have to learn in different other ways until we see when we have nothing there because we do not believe to see. What is it that we're believing to see? So, firstly, let's break all that down and take it apart and see what best is fitting for us in that we prefer. So this call is bringing the call of discernment in. So to struggle does not prove for anything but separation. Why promote ego-filled systems that do not allow for all to be supported, and that instead create the charity of choice from their fairness to continue on the game of lack and depravity that create all these dysfunctions in the first place? And so today, I just want for us to see where the unique stories can be found within you and your life experiences, rather than trying to relate to something that might not even apply to have for any meaning to that of its experience. So, based on your experience, bring it all out, or it will come out naturally, and let it soak so that into your awareness you become consciously aware of it. And so the purpose for resistance was created as a catalyst to help find the pockets of unawareness, rather, deeply hidden, and as resilience, like, oh, look at what I just overcame, and what a hero, or the saved, and all these things, and looking to the outside to be saved, and uh, having to create sabotages in your life so that you can see how resilient you are, or recovering from illnesses and surgeries and all these other things that we've allowed through neglect, by not being, for instance, in a house. How long can a house go without being lived in? It's the same concept as how long can your body, this shell, go without your spirit in it, without your soul and your spirit becoming aware of it. So abandonment comes to mind too. So the purpose for resistance was created as a catalyst to help find the pockets of unawareness, deeply hidden, and as when they come out, known as this thing called resilience, in the face of adversity, to bring them out, and where less energy is required for the change to take place. Hence, more collisions have sufficient energy for reaction to occur. This thing, be it as we know it, called motivation. So this is what happens. It's a form of collision. Anyway, when you can read throughout the book and you can purchase it, it will describe on a cellular and scientific level of all this, the electrons and the electrical components and the magnetic components, and the sun's coming out, speaking of electrical and photonic, and so all these things that when we bring them together, it makes so much sense. It makes things more real for us to comprehend and grasp. So I will leave you with today's affirmation, and until next time, I hope to see you again on What is Resistance, Day 316. So with awareness, I can find my pockets of resistors. With awareness, I can find my pockets of resistors. With awareness, I can find my pockets of resistors. With awareness, I can find my pockets of resistors.